The morning of my 25th birthday began with the quiet perfection I had meticulously planned. Sunlight, the kind that looks like liquid honey, spilled across the hardwood floor of my Austin, Texas apartment. The air smelled of freshly ground coffee and the faint, clean scent of the lavender candle my best friend Chloe had given me. From my small balcony, I could see the city slowly coming to life, the Colorado River a shimmering ribbon in the distance. It was a Saturday, and my entire day was scheduled with a satisfying precision that would make any project manager proud. First, a long, lazy run along the trail. Then a decadent brunch at my favorite spot, Snooze, with Chloe. The afternoon was reserved for a new novel and perhaps a nap, and the evening would culminate in a small, intimate dinner with my closest friends at a rustic Italian place downtown. No surprises, no chaos, just a smooth, joyful celebration of me. I was, to put it simply, deeply in control. My phone buzzed on the kitchen counter. It was my mom, her caller ID photo beaming up at me. "Happy birthday, my sweet Sarah," she chirped, her voice tinny through the speaker. 25? Can you believe it? I'm trying to embrace my mid-20s with grace, I laughed, pouring oat milk into my coffee. Your father and I sent a little something. It should be there by 10. And listen, honey, her tone shifted, adopting that slightly hesitant note that usually preceded a request I wouldn't like. Your Uncle David called last night. I froze, the coffee mug halfway to my lips. Uncle David was my father's older brother, a man whose life was a permanent, swirling hurricane of bad decisions, failed business ventures, and chaotic energy. We loved him in the abstract way you love a tornado that hasn't touched down in your neighborhood yet. What did he want? I asked, my sense of peaceful control already developing a hairline fracture. Oh, nothing much. He just mentioned he was passing through Austin today and wondered if he could stop by to wish you a happy birthday. I told him you probably had plans, but, David. My heart sank. Mom, you didn't give him my address, did you? There was a pause. A telling, guilty pause. He's family, Sarah, and he sounded like he really needed a friendly face. The fracture widened. What does that mean? What kind of trouble is he in now? Nothing serious, I'm sure, she said, her voice artificially bright. Probably just between jobs again. Be nice to him, honey. It's just for a few minutes. After hanging up, the perfect morning felt slightly tarnished. An Uncle David visit was the human equivalent of a software glitch, unpredictable, often frustrating, and rarely resolved easily. I pushed the worry aside. He was famously unreliable. He probably wouldn't even show up. Brunch with Chloe was, as always, a delight. She presented me with a beautifully wrapped gift, a leather-bound journal, and a set of high-quality pens. For all those brilliant ideas and perfectly planned schedules, she said with a wink. Over stacks of pancake rolls and avocado toast. I told her about the Uncle David situation. She snorted, nearly choking on her mimosa. The guy who tried to sell you earthquake insurance when we lived in Ohio? That Uncle David? The very one, I sighed. The man who believes every problem can be solved with a multi-level marketing scheme? Well, Chloe said, ever the optimist. Maybe he's turned over a new leaf. And if not, it'll be a good story. The year my birthday was hijacked by a lovable grifter. We parted ways with a hug, and I walked back to my apartment. The warm sun on my shoulders doing little to melt the low-grade anxiety that had settled in my stomach. As I approached my building, I saw it. Parked directly in front of the fire hydrant was a vehicle that could only belong to one person, a vintage, baby blue RV so large it was practically a land yacht. It was covered in a fine layer of dust and a handmade, slightly lopsided sign was taped to the back that read, Sunchaser, David's Mobile Enterprises. My heart did a complete somersault, and landed somewhere in the vicinity of my shoes. He was here, and he brought the entire circus. I found him in the lobby. Charming Mrs. Gable, the elderly woman from 2B Uncle David, was a large man. Not fat, but solid, with a booming laugh and a smile that could disarm a bomb squad. He wore a Hawaiian shirt adorned with parrots and pineapples, khaki shorts, and worn-out boat shoes. He looked like a vacation that had gone terribly, wonderfully wrong. "Sarah, there's my favorite niece," he bellowed, sweeping me into a hug that smelled of cheap cologne and gasoline. "Look at you, all grown up and living in a fancy big city apartment. Your mother told me it was your special day, and I said, 'David, you cannot miss this milestone.'" "Uncle David," I managed, extricating myself from his embrace. "This is a surprise. Life's full of him, kiddo. That's the beauty of it." He winked at Mrs. Gable, who was blushing. Now I would have called, but my phone took a swim in a river up in Oklahoma. Long story, involves a fishing trip and a misunderstanding with a state trooper. Don't worry, it was all cleared up. My planned afternoon of reading and napping evaporated into the Austin humidity. I had no choice but to invite him up. The moment we entered my pristine apartment, his presence seemed to expand, filling the space. He commented on everything from the interesting modern art on my walls to the cozy size of my living room. "Just passing through, you said?" I prompted, hoping to steer the conversation toward a swift departure. Indeed, he said, settling onto my sofa and making it look like a lawn chair. "I'm on my way to a massive opportunity in San Antonio. A revolutionary new concept in sustainable living. We're talking vertical farming meets artisanal food trucks. It's going to change the world." I nodded, having heard variations of this speech my entire life. "That sounds big. It's colossal." But he leaned forward, his voice dropping to a conspiratorial whisper. "I've hit a tiny, temporary cash flow snag. The sun chaser." He gestured vaguely toward the window. "She's a magnificent beast, but her fuel pump is throwing a tantrum. I just need a place to park her for a night or two while I get the funds transferred. Your mother mentioned you had a visitor parking spot, and there it was. The ask. The perfectly engineered, emotionally inescapable trap. I couldn't say no. He was family. He was down on his luck. And he had the unwavering, almost spiritual confidence of a man who had failed at everything but his own self-belief. 2 nights, Uncle David. Tops, I said, my voice tight. You're an angel, Sarah. An absolute angel. He clapped his hands together. And to thank you, I'm taking you out for your birthday dinner. My treat, I know a place. Panic, cold and sharp, shot through me. Oh, that's not necessary. I have reservations already. With my friends. Perfect. The more the merrier. I'll charm them all. It'll be my gift to you. There was no fighting it. He was a force of nature. I quickly texted the group chat, emergency. Uncle David is in town. He's unique. He's joining us for dinner. Please be cool. And for the love of God, don't agree to invest in anything. The evening arrived. My friends Chloe, my college roommate Mark, and his boyfriend Ben, and a few others gathered at the restaurant. I pre-warned them, but nothing could truly prepare them for the spectacle of Uncle David in full flow. He held court, telling outrageous stories of his travels. His failed inventions, the self-stirring pot, was a particular highlight. And his brushes with fame. He claimed to have once sold a timeshare to a man who looked exactly like a younger Steven Seagal. To my astonishment, my friends were enthralled. They laughed at his jokes, asked questions about his schemes, and were completely charmed by his unshakable, if utterly delusional, optimism. I sat there, a knot of tension in my chest, waiting for the other shoe to drop. It did. Just as the tiramisu arrived, Uncle David stood up, tapping his fork against his wine glass. A toast. To my wonderful niece, Sarah. May her 25th year be filled with as much adventure and surprise as this fine evening. Everyone raised their glasses. He continued, and since we're all here, such a bright, successful group of young people, I'd like to offer you all a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. A chance to get in on the ground floor of David's patented peaceful pollinator pods. My blood ran cold. Chloe shot me a wide-eyed look. It's simple, David boomed, pulling out a crumpled brochure from his back pocket. We install small, aesthetically pleasing habitats for solitary bees in urban backyards and community gardens. Save the bees, save the world. For a modest initial investment of just $1,000, you become a founding partner. The table went silent. Mark coughed uncomfortably. Ben studied the dessert menu with intense focus. This was it. This was the humiliating climax of my unexpected birthday event, but then something even more unexpected happened. Ben looked up from the menu, a curious expression on his face. Solitary bees? Like mason bees and leafcutter bees? David, slightly thrown, nodded. Why, yes, exactly. The unsung heroes of the pollination world. Ben, who was normally quiet and reserved, leaned forward, his eyes alight with a passion I rarely saw. I've been reading about this. Honeybees get all the press, but native solitary bees are far more efficient pollinators for many crops. Their habitats are being decimated by urbanization. Uncle David was stunned into silence for the first time all night. He blinked. You know about this? I'm an environmental consultant, Ben said calmly. It's my field. Your idea. It's actually not bad. The branding is a little enthusiastic, but the core concept is solid. There are